I was happy to hear that more officers are being sent out. You know, we welcome that very much so. Still on the DFO side of things, we need more people, more enforcement on the water. Not much protection out there for our people.
That's Chief Sack, who just joined us. He wants more support, and he wants it now. Well, the federal government today called for an end to the violence against Mik'maw fishers in Nova Scotia, but without answers on major questions, including the definition on this moderate livelihood, which was, of course, from the 1999 Marshall decision in the Supreme Court. The tensions are poised to continue. What should the federal government do, and what will be accomplished by an emergency debate tonight? The Fisheries and Oceans Minister Bernadette Jordan joins us from Nova Scotia. Minister, I hope you and the family are well, and great to have you on the program. Why was this situation allowed to spiral out of control, and the RCMP did nothing to intervene earlier?
Well, thanks for having me. And first of all, I think that, it's really important to recognize that the Mi'kmaq have the right to fish for a moderate livelihood. That was something that was affirmed by the Supreme Court of Canada under the Marshall decision. It has been a very challenging time in Southwest Nova Scotia. I am very pleased to see that the government has stepped up and provided more resources to the province in order to allow more RCMP officers to be on the ground. I absolutely, totally am disgusted with the violence, the threats, the intimidation that we've seen in Southwest Nova Scotia, and it's something that has to come to an end.
But Minister, this has been going on for a long time. Can you just answer the question, why did the RCMP do nothing to stop it? Chief Sack literally told me, as it was happening, they were just standing around videotaping it. What have you been told why they did not intervene earlier?
So, I think this is a question that would be very well asked of Minister Blair, but I will say that, the RCMP have actually investigated the situations that were happening over the past number of days. There have been charges laid. There are more bodies on the ground now. There are more RCMP who have been called from other parts of Nova Scotia to de-escalate the tensions in the area. We want to make sure that people are safe. We want to make sure that the Mi'kmaq are able to exercise their right to a moderate livelihood fishery in a safe way. Those are absolute priorities for us, and it's something that we will continue to work towards to make sure that we get to a peaceful resolution of this.
Chief Sack literally said, yeah, there's people on the land, but there's nobody on the water. Is there going to be any law enforcement on the water to protect the fishers while they're actually lobster fishing?
I believe that there are RCMP actually deployed into the water. We also have Coast Guard in the area, as well as RCMP official members who are conservation and protection from DFO. We are making sure we are doing everything possible to make sure that the Mi'kmaq are protected.
You want an emergency debate tonight. A lot of the opposition say, this is your file. Why do you need an emergency debate? Why not just take action now? What is the point of this debate?
I will say that we have been taking action. This has been something that's been ongoing for quite some time. We have been in regular negotiations with the First Nations community. We have also had conversations with the harvesters with regards to the emergency debate specifically. This is something that, all of Canada is seized with, and we feel it's important for parliamentarians to participate in a debate, to hear from them what they see as a way forward. That is what Parliament is there for, and they should be granted the right to make sure that they debate those issues that are extremely important to Canada.
I guess so, although you say you've been working closely. Again, Chief Sack, it took him days and days to get any action. But, the Marshall decision, as you rightly pointed out, was 21 years ago. Your government's been in power for 5 years. This was supposed to be Justin Trudeau's #1 file. Why hasn't your government done more to define what a moderate livelihood is earlier that would have avoided this whole crisis?
So I don't believe it's up to the federal government to define what a moderate livelihood is. That is something that is determined at the negotiation table in collaboration with First Nations communities. The last thing First Nations communities want is the federal government to tell them what a moderate livelihood is. That is one of the big parts of a negotiation, which we are working on right now. There has been work done, significant work done over the last number of years from successive governments. Our government alone has made progress with regards to incremental change in how the fishery for First Nations people is managed and is able to be accessed. But we need to do more. We know it's not enough. That's one of the reasons why we're making sure that process is expedited right now.
Minister Jordan, I know it's not for the government alone. It's a nation-to-nation treaty, and Chief Sack's open about that. But for 5 years, your government did not initiate a procedure to define moderate livelihood. And I'm going to just ask you again, why not?
We have actually been working with First Nations communities for the past 5 years. We've had agreements with 2 nations in New Brunswick. We've worked with the nations within Nova Scotia, within the nations within Nova Scotia. I've been actually active on this file since I first became the Minister of Fisheries and Oceans back last November, having conversations. It's not an easy, there is no easy fix. There is no quick answer. We are working extremely hard to make sure that we're coming to, the table with Sipekne'katik. That is a relatively new arrangement that has been very positive. We're working to make sure that we have a memorandum of understanding in place with Sipekne'katik. They have a great fishing plan that they've put forward. There's a lot of things in it that we can work with. We need fishing plans from the communities so that we can work with them to make sure that we implement those.
But Premier Mik'maw, it doesn't seem like everyone's on the same page. He's proposing a 3-person panel in a bid to find a path forward, one from each side of the issue. And Chief Sack just said no. You, Minister, he says, you represent the commercial fishers. He said commercial fishers should have no place in defining what a moderate livelihood is. So I'm going to ask you, would you accept Premier Mik'maw's proposal for this 3-person panel that he's talking about?
The negotiations happen nation to nation. That is between the federal government and Sipekne'katik. That is the absolute, way we see this to move forward. I agree with Chief Sack with regards to the ongoing negotiations. However, I also think it's important that we do have conversations with the commercial harvesters to make sure that their concerns are heard. To that end, Minister Bennett and I are actually formalizing plans right now to have a special representative to meet with the commercial harvesters, to hear their concerns, so that they know that they are absolutely being listened to as well.
Okay, just two quick questions. Again, Chief Sack's last question to me was, he said he's having positive dialogue with you, but he said this shouldn't take long. How long is this going to take? He said we could do this quickly. How long is it going to take, Minister?
Well, I mean, we are very much in negotiations with Chief Sack, with his council. We're very positive about the way this is going, and I don't want to prejudge what's going to come out of it or when it will be done, but we are working towards a good end with this with regards to Sipekne'katik.
Okay. I hope to continue this discussion. We hope there's no more violence there. Fisheries and Oceans Minister Bernadette Jordan in Nova Scotia, appreciate your time tonight. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much for having me.